So this is a recording from one of our weekly centering practices. I wanted to share these as a way to help those of us struggling through this time. I won't share the individual participants' feedback, but just the meditation that we're going to do, maybe the readings and journaling that we're going to do. And then this is something that you can do on your own. But if you also want to join our weekly gatherings, information will be available as well in the show notes. And you can also reach out to me at donnayferris@gmail.com or donna@donnayferris.com, either one, depending on what you're used to. Let's close our eyes and just try to find a comfortable seat. If closing your eyes isn't good for you, maybe just rest your gaze right below your lap. And let's try to come into the breath, just noticing how it feels to breathe today. Just taking your own breath to start before I start to guide you. And when you're ready, and if it feels right to you, inhale through the nose and then out of the mouth. And do that again, inhaling and exhaling. And just do the breath that way for yourself for the next few breaths, knowing that everybody breathes differently, but sometimes thinking about bringing it in through the nose and out of the mouth can be relaxing. And then let's just take one more little adjustment to that breath. We're going to inhale for 4, 3, 2, 1, and then exhale for 4, 3, 2, 1. And just do that a few more times on your own, just counting the way you're going to count. Inhaling, if you can, through the nose and out through the mouth, but just doing it with 4 counts. And in this next round of 3 breaths, I'm just going to ask you to extend that exhale just a little bit more. So maybe it's 6 counts or just a little bit more. I don't want to make it too difficult, but just to let that exhale go a little longer. So I'll do the first one together. So when you're ready, inhaling into the nose and then exhaling longer. And then just doing that 3 or 4 more times. If it helps to count, you can inhale for 4, exhale for 6 or 8. But this little adjustment of exhaling longer can really help slow the body down. And in this hopefully more restful spot, based on the group here's input, I'm going to do a meditation around where or what you want to be looking at when you're 98. We had somebody in the group that just went to a memorial service for somebody that's 98. I love this idea of where you'll be at that age. Visualize what you want around you, what you hope to have around you. Visualize the things you're able to do, the people that are in your life, the things that you care about. Visualize all those things. And if 98's too far, maybe you do something in the 80s. But what do you want to be like? What do you want your life to be like? And then think about what you have to do to be there. And for one thing, imagining that time might relieve some of the angst we have over our day-to-day things, right? 4 years doesn't seem so long when we look out that far. But also, it helps us maybe think about what's really important to us. We probably aren't thinking at that point in our lives we're going to be as transfixed by the news as we are today. Or maybe we won't be so worried about XYZ that you are worried about today, because it will be over. What do we have to do to make sure that we have the existence that we want at that point? What changes do we have to make in our lives? What connections do we have to make? What self-care do we have to put in place? And just rest in that. Shouldn't feel bad about this in any way, right? This is all about thinking about what really matters to us and what we can learn from that and how we can take best care of ourselves. So just taking a few more breaths here in this spot, looking back at your beautiful, beautiful life. And as you are ready, making your way with the next few breaths back into the present. Inhaling and exhaling together. Taking another inhale together and exhale. And in this next breath, we'll inhale and exhale. And when you're ready, open your eyes and come back. So I wanted to go through the reading for this week. It's from Pema Chodron's Welcoming the Unwelcome. And it's from chapter 7, How Not to Lose Heart. And we're going through a very polarized time. And not just because of all the things that we kind of know, but actually, astrologically speaking, this is a very polarized time. And in fact, it will probably not release until after March 14th. So just be aware of that. And that's why I picked this particular piece, because Pema Chodron, who is a Buddhist nun that people come all over the world to hear and listen to, finds that to be the hardest thing, is this polarization we have in the world. The bottom line of this, and I'll go through it, but the bottom line is that she's not going to contribute to it. And I love that, because that is something we can do. We cannot contribute to it as much as we can. Here's the section that I wanted to read. It may sound tricky to be conscious of the fact that you're unconscious, but if you pay attention to when you're getting worked up, you'll be able to read the signs. When you get hooked, you lose your sense of everyone having the same vulnerability, of everyone holding the same desire to have happiness. You find yourself cut off from the human condition. And she goes on later to say, and I love this, everyone has their own thing that brings them down. For some, it's seeing how much aggression and violence there is in the world. For some, it's rampant greed or injustice or insensitivity to others' pain. What really gets me is seeing the polarization that's so prevalent right now. Polarization based on religion, race, sexual preference, social class, all the ways in which our minds and hearts get tight about our positions, all the ways in which we close down into us and them. Since polarization is the most potentially disheartening thing for me, I'm going to use that as part of my practice. So, what she does is she talks about how when she gets into these situations, she's not going to add to it. She's not going to make it more polarized. She's not going to dip into it more. And I shared during our group today, I had a situation where I was in a group of people and someone asked if everybody was Catholic. And I said no. And then she turned away from me to tell everybody else about a Lent thing. And I felt left out. And for me, growing up as a minister's daughter, I have all this stuff, right? I won't go into all of it all because it's all my ego. But I was tripped by that. And the woman meant nothing. She saw separateness, but that's okay. And her whole story was about a flower. So it's all good, right? She just wanted to share a story about a flower. And I could have really jumped into that situation and made it worse. I could have extended the polarization between us. And I didn't do it. In a nice way, I walked away and got my coffee and I went for a walk. And halfway through that walk, I was able to see it clearly. I was able to see that she didn't mean anything and that I could have made it worse. And that's the goal, right? And I can tell you 100 situations where I did make it worse. So I love this idea that Pema Chodron says is let's not make it worse. Let's not make the polarization worse. And I hope that's helpful for you today, that as you go into your week this week, knowing that astrologically, if you even believe a little bit in your horoscope, this is not a great week to try to make things worse. So let's just try to give people the benefit of the doubt. And in my case, I'm going to try to be silent as much as possible so that I don't step into the divide. And I think we always regret it afterwards if we do say things that are outside of our best thoughts or in our divine being. So I hope that's helpful. I'll be back next week with these little short meditation and readings. And we'll have a regular episode this week as well with Aaron Byron about karma, which is one of my favorite subjects. So thank you very much for listening. And I hope this is helpful. If it is, please let me know. Email me at donnayferris@gmail.com or donna@donnayferris.com. And have a wonderful week.